They said I could find you here. Why are you fishing? Our company's got to ship out 2 full color brochures and 20 color copies. You're killing me.
It's done. Designed, printed, packaged, and shipped.
How?
You just got to know the right people. Baker Printing, the printing people.
How come you get to fish in this private lake?
Like I said, you just got to know the right people. You can know the right people too.
Hi, business owners. Phase 3. Woohoo! But do your customers know you're back? Well, that's where the Clarence Bug Show and Pelican Broadcasting can help. Right now, we've got great rates on advertising packages to help you get the word out. Shoot me an email at bugsclarence@gmail.com. Or better yet, call me up. I'd love to talk with you. 225-485-6839. Let's get together and make Phase 3 the best it can possibly be.
You're invited to the Bridal Show of the Future, a new twist on the typical bridal expo. Come out to experience the food, dancing, meet and greet, wedding event professionals, and win fantastic prizes. Friday, August 6th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. To purchase tickets, please visit thepostbridalshowgonzales.com or follow on Instagram. All proceeds benefiting the VFW Post 3693 of Gonzales. Support your local veterans.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with the Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hello and welcome to the final edition of the week of the Clarence Bug Show. Here's hoping that all is well with you and yours in your world since the last time we spent a little time with you, roughly some 24 hours ago. Well, it was as short-lived as it was historic. The Louisiana legislature calling an end to the veto session. 28 bills vetoed by Governor John Bel Edwards, 0 of those vetoes overturned. I have been a political observer for many years now, and I will be the first to admit I didn't think that they would be able to pull off the veto session, meaning get enough votes to actually hold the session. Now, in hindsight, I'm a little torn. There is a part of me that says, well, in the interest of at least appearing to try and honor the will of the people, put every effort possible to come up with an end result that people could feel good about, particularly on issues that are as emotionally charged as concealed carry without a permit and banning transgender competition in our schools. Typically, you would think it's a good thing. No numbers in just yet on what this failed veto session will cost the taxpayers. Fortunately, they didn't drag it out for the whole 5-day period, but obviously there will be some cost incurred. In the grand scheme of things, maybe you could say that is the price we pay for ensuring that the democracy remains robust. I will leave to you to decide ultimately what the case is in that regard. Also, this week, Here in Louisiana, news about the Delta variant of COVID-19 starting once again to dominate the news cycle. Not sure just yet about hospitals all across the state, but here in the capital city, all of the hospitals announcing that they are instituting changes to their hospital policies as it relates to visitors and COVID-19 precautions. If you know someone or planning to visit someone that you know is currently hospitalized, would be a good idea if you were to familiarize yourself with whatever the new policies are in that regard. Baton Rouge General, Our Lady of the Lake Regional Medical Center, Ochsner Women's. I'm pretty sure that Lane Memorial in Zachary, at that fine facility, they are in the process of revamping their procedures as well. It is something that a lot of us thought would probably happen. To what extent it ends up being, only time will tell. When you look at the number of cases, and I want to say, and forgive me if my math, here we go, 5,388 new cases of the Delta variant reported by the Louisiana Department of Health this week. That is one of the highest numbers reported since the beginning of the pandemic. Only time will tell to what degree we end up reinstituting some of the lockdown measures. Hopefully, it won't come to that because, as we all know, our economy can't take much more of this. As we all know, America can't take a whole lot more of this. And if, in fact, that were to happen again, then once again we would find ourselves having to look to government for financial assistance for Americans. And don't know how many of you paid attention this week, but Democrats in Congress are already sounding the alarm that if we can't raise the debt ceiling, then we're going to run out of cash. Surprise, surprise, after the amount of cash that the Biden administration has been throwing around, continues to throw around, and is planning yet still to throw around. We obviously will keep an eye on that because it is, of course, your wallet that has to pay for all of this. And speaking of, for lack of a better phrase, reinvigorating masks, mandates, things of that nature, the city of New Orleans announcing yesterday that Mayor Cantrell has issued an indoor mask advisory. It is not, to my understanding, a mandate, but is instead an advisory asking individuals to wear masks while in crowded indoor settings. No specification on exactly what constitutes a crowded indoor session. I mean, that could, depending on whom it is you pose the question to, you could probably ask 50 random people today and you'll get 51 answers on what is your version of a crowded indoor session. Hopefully, there will be some clarification issued in that regard. Personally, I'll be honest with you guys and girls. In the aftermath of what we have gone through and watching, observing everyday Louisiana folks out and about, it's going to be a tough sell. It is going to be a tough sell. Now, I am in no way, shape, or form giving credence to the frustration that people feel. I am in no way, shape, or form offering up or shooting down the validity of the various arguments. I'm simply telling you what I've noticed. And if, like me, you, in your matriculation, interact with people of all races, creeds, and colors, you will find that it's all across the board. Folks are at that tipping point for many people. And just the mere recommendation of going back to certain things sparks a response that tells you everything you need to know in no uncertain terms. Let's all just hope that we don't end up having to go that route again. Those of us on the conservative side of the aisle say that there's too much power to be had by relinquishing control of this. And again, those of us on the conservative side of the aisle understand full well that with a lot of people, power is something that they desire more than anything else. And it's also something they will go to untold lengths to hold on to, if at all possible. Speaking of New Orleans, just when I had finally gotten myself to the point where it was automatic, when I would say Superdome, I'd finally gotten to the point where it was automatic. Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Well, now it's time to change again. Announced this morning that it is now official. Caesars Entertainment of Caesar's Palace fame has signed a deal for naming rights for our Superdome. Let's see, originally it was, what did we call it? Just the Dome. Then it was the New Orleans Superdome. At one point we called it the Louisiana Superdome. Then we got the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Now it will be Caesars Superdome. The good news is the Saints will get a fairly substantial windfall from the naming rights. It is reported that Caesars Entertainment will, for the next 20 years, be associated by name with this iconic structure in New Orleans. And if memory serves correct, $2 million a year. Let me see if I can clarify that for you just to be sure. Yes, the Joint Budget Committee approving the deal today, Thursday, July 22nd, and it is reported, I thought the number was larger, Caesars Entertainment reportedly will pay the Saints $10 million a year over the next 20 years, 2 decades. So quick math, $10 million a year for 20 years. Marty says that's $200 million. Not a bad chunk of change. If the number's wrong, blame it on Marty. There you go. So get used to no longer saying Mercedes-Benz Superdome and get used to saying the Caesars Superdome. All right. Speaking of getting used to new things, some folks here in Baton Rouge saw some new folks in town this week. Had no idea where they were coming from, had no idea they were coming, and no idea who they were. And now we find out it's happening all across Louisiana. Thanks, President Biden. We'll talk about that next on the Clarence Bugg Show, here and only here on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Go where summer leads you in an award-winning Mazda CUV. Find yours during Mazda's season of discovery.
Call, click, or come by and discover your new Mazda today at Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer, Team Mazda on Airline.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. We, as Americans, have watched with increasing concern the situation at our southern border. We were initially told that it's not a crisis, it's a concern. And, of course, that later on morphed into it's not a crisis, it's a situation. Not so very long after that, what is arguably the second most powerful person in the free world, Vice President Kamala Harris, was charged with being the new border czar by President Joe Biden. After a whole lot of consternation and gnashing of teeth from those of us on the conservative side of the aisle, eventually she made a trip down to the border after visiting many countries in South America, a border visit, by the way, that was some 800 miles away from the epicenter of the immigration crisis at our border. In the interim, a lot of people have been waiting, wondering, okay, what's the next step going to be? How are you going to deal with this crisis? And how should we as Americans feel about whatever the course of action is you've chosen to take? Well, far be it from me to speak for people in the rest of the country. I don't live in the rest of the country. I live in Louisiana, and particularly in Baton Rouge. And this week, in no uncertain terms, we were shown what the administration's plan is for dealing with this crisis. Greyhound bus station here in Baton Rouge. The scene this week of immigrants being dropped off with no earthly clue of how to navigate where they were. They were instructed to go to St. Vincent de Paul for assistance there, and volunteers there, Micah Caldo and that absolutely awesome group of people at St. Vincent, were unable to shelter them because their space was full and they're dealing with COVID-19 restrictions. So they were only able to give them bags of toiletries, things of that nature, because they weren't able to physically house them there. Fortunately for those immigrants, Louisiana Advocates for Immigrants in Detention, the Baton Rouge chapter, was able to assist them in that regard. What is so troubling about this, the Baton Rouge chapter of Louisiana Advocates for Immigrants in Detention says that they were notified by the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, ICE, or ICE as some call it. They were notified that these immigrants were being put on the bus and shipped to South Louisiana. Quote, "We had volunteers there, and there were volunteers in New Orleans that housed the ones that couldn't get plane tickets out that same day. We want as much notice as possible when people are coming, and more volunteers are always welcome to help." However, they also pointed out that's not always the case. 3 other drop-off sites, Shreveport, Natchez, Monroe, the group got no advanced notice that these individuals were on the route and were being dropped off. Now, it's one thing for you to notify an agency that has tasked itself with helping these individuals. It is something else entirely when you fail to notify the individual officials that run the city or the state, for that matter. As you can probably imagine, elected officials here in Baton Rouge were none too pleased about being left out of the loop. Mayor Sharon Weston Broome, Senator Bill Cassidy, Congressman Garrett Graves, all expressing outrage over the fact that you all didn't think it would be a good idea to let the mayor of this city know that you're going to be dropping off people that essentially at this point are homeless with no resources, and you don't think it's a good idea to let us know? I mean, all of a sudden, you see all of these people, many of whom English is barely a second language, if that at all, no jobs, no resources, and you didn't think it was a good idea to let us know? Now, that's okay for New Orleans, and y'all can get mad if you want, but it's the truth. New Orleans has declared itself a sanctuary city. No such declaration has been made here in Baton Rouge, at least not that I'm aware of. What's even more troubling about all of this, since word got out, individuals have started doing some digging, looking around. Come to find out, in Shreveport so far this year, 400 illegal immigrants have been dropped off there. You know, for individuals, the Biden administration, that will tell anyone who will listen of their concern for immigrants, of their Biden administration desire to treat these individuals humanely, and these individuals, Biden administration, who are so concerned with these individuals becoming an integral part of America and the workplace, their actions run a whole lot counter to the rhetoric. At what point do you, as the federal government, taking individuals who are here illegally, many of whom could very well pose an increased risk for COVID and God knows what else, at what point do you feel any obligation to the American citizenry? You know what's very, very telling here? Democrats are the ones that are constantly railing about racism, the unjust treatment of people of color, and yada, yada, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And yet, as the people of Cuba continue their outcry for freedom, how are they treated as compared to the individuals that are walking into our country from parts south of here? Some are of the opinion that since the Cubans are crying for freedom, and they know firsthand the evils of the society, the form of government under which they live, dictatorship, communism, they are going to be the least likely to vote Democrat. So as a result, well, the welcome mat will be out for folks down south, but not for you. Part of the human experience entails any number of things, not the least of which is we as human beings relate to people that look like we do. Another part of it is we tend to follow the political ideology of those who give us the most stuff. Unless, of course, you are truly a conservative and you're a true American that understands the whole purpose of our existence here is to take care of ourselves and keep the grubby little dirty fingers of the federal government out of our freaking pockets. That's what real Americans believe in. Now, the rest of y'all that obviously slept through civics class, or the rest of y'all that have this affinity for free stuff, well, I guess we have to understand why you think the way you think. But looking around today, after watching this administration literally, with no notice to those who run things, just start shipping people in. I don't know about you. That tells me all I need to know. What's the old adage? You get the government that you voted for? Huh. Funny how that works, isn't it? Yep. Bottom of the hour break. You know the world has been turned completely upside down when Clarence Buggs agrees with something said by the ACLU. That's up next when we continue today's edition of the Clarence Buggs Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
You're invited to the Bridal Show of the Future, a new twist on the typical bridal expo. Come out to experience the food, dancing, meet and greet, wedding event professionals, and win fantastic prizes. Friday, August 6th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. To purchase tickets, please visit thepostbridalshowgonzales.com or follow on Instagram. All proceeds benefiting the VFW Post 3693 of Gonzales. Support your local veterans.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Clarence Buggs Show. You know, there are a couple of adages that you could use to summarize this segment. The first that comes to mind is, and maybe the most appropriate, politics makes for strange bedfellows. For those of you that have never heard that before or don't understand what that alludes to, politics, second adage, is often described as the art of compromise, meaning no one ever gets everything that they want. You have to be willing to bend a little. You have to be willing to honestly entertain the other person's or other side's point of view. And while they may reside here, you may reside there, ultimately the goal is to find that common ground in the middle. Nobody knows that better than the folks in Louisiana, where politics is a contact sport. We know that full well. if you are fortunate enough to stick around long enough and you're observant, you see all sorts of things. And it's almost an inevitability that you will find a situation where, after looking at it, you say to yourself, wow, I never thought I would agree with, and you fill in the blank, whether it's this party, this individual, or this organization. Speaking of organizations, in 41 years of broadcasting, I have only agreed with this organization once. Out of 41 years, all the issues that I've covered, all the issues they have weighed in on, all the issues they've given an opinion on. In 41 years, I've only agreed with these folks once. Well, at least until recently. It says so very much to me that we have arrived at a point in time in our country where even these folks can see it, while so many other Americans cannot. The American Civil Liberties Union, known by the acronym of the ACLU, is notorious, at least with individuals of my ilk, conservatives. They are notorious for being 180 degrees opposite from what we consider common sense. Now listen, I get that the ACLU has their own agenda. I get that, like anybody else, on occasion, how many times y'all said that about me, on any given day may have an opinion that lots of other folks look at as, this dude has lost his mind. But the ACLU is so well known in that regard with conservatives that when we do agree on something, it's noteworthy. Recently, the Biden administration acknowledging openly, publicly, that they've been working with social media platforms in an effort to get rid of the misinformation regarding COVID-19. And of course, if you engage in conversation with conservatives and that particular topic comes up, invariably you will hear, well, if they want to censor this, then what's going to be next? Anyone that paid any amount of attention whatsoever in civics, American history, any of the above, knows it's a bad idea when government becomes the official arbiter of what is or is not the truth. You don't have to be the brightest bulb in the chandelier to reason out, okay, if the government gets to decide what's truth and what's fiction, then what does that mean for average people who will look at something, plainly see that it's the truth, but the government tells them otherwise? Well, the ACLU, after hearing about this collusion between the White House and social media, told all of us what, sadly, apparently we don't already know. When the ACLU comes out and says, quote, no matter which party is in power, the government cannot be trusted to label truth or fiction any more than Facebook or Twitter can. The White House, in the article on CNN entitled White House Reviewing Section 230 Amid Efforts to Push Social Media Giants to Crack Down on Misinformation, the ACLU, in weighing in on this, said, whoa, wait a minute. The First Amendment, not Section 230, is what protects social media companies from liabilities. And then they point out, because anytime you make an argument, it helps if you give context to the argument. They pointed out how many other declarations of truth past administrations have given us. Remember when the Obama White House told us that the NSA had not abused surveillance programs despite what was revealed to us from a guy you might remember by the name of Edward Snowden? Remember when we were told that if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor? Remember that? They go on to say, does the ACLU, quote, the president should know that it's not Section 230 that protects social media companies from liability or false information. It's the First Amendment. The Constitution protects people and social media companies from government censorship campaigns. Guys, girls, this is not Civics 101. This is Civics 001. This is elementary level America. And the number of people that not only think it's okay for government to do this, the number of y'all that think it's government's responsibility is frightening. For young people out there, here's your homework for the weekend. Duck, and I know a lot of y'all still use it, or Google, whatever your search engine of choice is. Google Pravda, Pravda. Google Pravda. Well, duck it, because Google will probably give you a favorable listing of what Pravda was all about and some of the things that they helped perpetrate against the people of the Soviet Union. Does the name, for those of that didn't sleep in world history, does the name Joseph Goebbels ring a bell? As in Minister of Propaganda? Who in their right freaking mind wants to live in a country where, despite what you know, despite what you see with your own two eyes, despite what you've heard with your own ears, it's not true unless the government says it's true? Really? Is that the world, the country you want to live in? Doesn't matter what you saw. Doesn't matter what you heard. It's only true if the government says it's true. Now, the guise of all of this is to tamp down on misinformation on COVID. Of course, now, show of hands. How many of you watching right now think that if the government is successful in tamping down on misinformation on COVID, they're going to stop right there and they won't do it for anything else? Show of hands. How many of y'all suckers believe that? Marty just went. How many of you suckers actually believe if you allow them to get away with this, that that's as far as they're going to go? You already know what's next. Well, you know, I understand y'all cling to your Bibles and your guns, and I understand that, you know, y'all think that book y'all read says that, you know, male and female of each species created he, but actually that God y'all love, he got it wrong. What's the last count? How many genders are there now, Marty? He done lost count. He lost count, 40-something. Do you really think a government that feels it's okay with your backing to decide what is truth and what is fiction, do you really think they're going to stop with just that? If so, my dear friend Bill Profita, who's up next, says he has a beachfront, mountaintop, 16-bedroom chalet with only 2 baths in Bunkie, Louisiana, that he'll let you have real cheap. Marty said, I'll take it. If you believe that, well, God help you, my friend. Final break of today's show. We'll get her done, come back, put that big old pretty bow on this puppy, and we wrap up today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
The all-new 22 Civic, now on sale at Team Honda on Siegen Lane.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready, and health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Welcome back to the final segment of today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. If you keep living long enough, things happen that most of us mere mortals never thought we'd see. For example, SEC Media Days for football. Marty, any idea, does the SEC do media days for any other sport, basketball, baseball, whomever? Bill said, why? But in the SEC, where football is king, media days, you know pretty much, okay, here's what we're going to get. And the big thing of the day is going to be when Nick Saban takes the podium. That's a given. I mean, it is what it is. Well, ironically, this week, that didn't happen. The big news was a story broken by a reporter out of Houston that the University of Texas, UT, and the Oklahoma Sooners, OU, have reached out to the Southeastern Conference about joining the SEC. Whoa. You're talking, hands down, unquestionably, the premier conference in all of America. Now, obviously, there would have to be a serious realignment of the East and West conferences. You couldn't add two schools the likes of the Longhorns and the Sooners without, upsetting the balance of power, so to speak, in the conference. According to the anonymous sources quoted in the article, a decision could be made in the next couple of weeks. Personally, oh my God, I would love it. I would absolutely love it. Now, for the record, I'm not a UT fan. For the record, I'm not an OU fan. But anytime you can strengthen the conference by adding the license, I mean, you're talking in a football season, LSU, Alabama, Florida Gators, Georgia Bulldogs, War Eagles, throw in there Longhorns, Sooners, and on any given year, Gamecocks and Volunteers. And yes, I purposely left out the Mississippi schools. Y'all know I love you. I purposely left them out. I mean, you are talking football on the collegiate level that now goes to an entirely different level. It's going to be interesting to watch this unfold. Not only for where the dominoes would fall if the Longhorns and Sooners joined the SEC, but what would happen with the remainder of their existing conference. I mean, literally, at the drop of a hat, they are relegated to nobody status. It's going to be interesting to watch this unfold. Speaking of media days and old adages, there's one that says it doesn't matter whether they say something good about you or whether they say something bad about you, as long as they're talking about you. Enter Deion Sanders, head coach of the Jackson State Blue Bengals. You heard what Deion did this week, right? And let me say right up front, I am of the opinion it was a straight-up publicity stunt. Far be it from Deion Sanders not to use controversy to generate some conversation. According to the Clarion Ledger, at Media Days this week, Coach Prime, as he likes to be called, took umbrage to a reporter calling him Dion. Coach Prime told the reporter, and I'll paraphrase here, loose quote, you wouldn't call Nick Saban Nick. If you called Nick Saban Nick, you'd get cussed out on the spot. Treat me like you treat Nick. End of quote. First of all, Prime, you got to win some games, Hoss, before you can put yourself in that category with Nick Saban, number one. Number two, when you open your mouth like this, you better not lose a game early in the season, because at every subsequent press conference, all you're going to hear is, Dion, what about the offense? Dion, what happened on special teams? Dion, you opened the door for this kind of stuff. Now, if you win, not a big deal. A whole lot of consternation has been made about this. Personally, I think Dion's playing everybody. Because the fact of the matter is, for a team that finished 4-5 a year ago, ESPN's talking about it, Clarion Ledger's talking about it, HBCU Game Day's talking about it. Hell, they're talking about it on the Clarence Bugg Show. Doesn't matter if they say something good or if they say something bad, as long as they say something. Right, Dion? Bill Profita, up next. So that means for yours truly, my time's up. But once again, this day, maybe so more than any other, I give it to you. You're right. America, we're not perfect. But for this old boy's money, it's the best there is. And God knows there's no place else on his green earth that I'd rather be. Speaking of the good Lord, you know he loves you, right? And I hope you know that I do too. Either way, ain't a doggone thing you can do about either one. Take care. God bless.